What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at this week's edition of Raw, as well as some of the latest news, including Cody talking an AEW and WWE partnership, Chris Jericho's wife was at the Capitol riot, cancellations to the Elimination Chamber, a WWE superstar is really pregnant, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now, as always, we aren't recapping the matches, but just providing the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, Kofi replaces The Miz. Putting Kofi into the Elimination Chamber match was a brilliant move, as it not only gave Kofi a chance to shine in singles action, but provided some much needed intrigue surrounding the participants in the Championship Elimination Chamber match. As we discussed last week, The Miz was an odd pick as a contestant, given he's Mr. Money in the Bank. Having The Miz suggest John Morrison get his spot was a good way to show The Miz's crafty mind, and of course to have things backfire when Kofi took his spot. The WWE even threw some logic into the storyline by having Kofi make a strong case as to why he was a better candidate for the chamber. It's good to see WWE acknowledge Kofi's past reign as champion, and even though his chances of winning the belt anytime soon seem unlikely, you can never have too many viable contenders. Number 2, Bad Bunny wins the 24/7 championship. Putting the 24/7 championship on Bad Bunny was a brilliant move that epitomized the purpose of the 24/7 championship, drawing in outside viewers to the WWE product. Some of you may know Bad Bunny is scheduled to perform on the 20th February edition of Saturday Night Live, and having him conveniently show up with the belt is just another way to spotlight the WWE. Now, don't be surprised if R-Truth shows up too, especially now that WWE's partnership with NBC Universal is tighter than ever thanks to the sale of the network. With Bad Bunny likely competing at WrestleMania 37, they will do everything possible to get mainstream viewers tuned in from an appearance like this. Now, whilst wrestling purists might ask what Lou Thez would think of the 24/7 championship being besmirched by a celebrity, the title is a comedy belt, and that also serves to bring in mainstream attention. It received mainstream sports coverage when Rob Gronkowski captured the belt, and they're certain to do the same with Bad Bunny. Number 3, Alexa Bliss turns up the creepometer to 11. Alexa Bliss turned the creepometer to 11 last night as she interrupted Randy Orton's promo with a video showing her in the Firefly Funhouse with demonic-looking eyes. It was clear last night's moment of bliss was anything but, as she promised the Fiend will be reborn, and the camera showed her sitting inside a pentagram surrounded by candles. She continued her fright fest as a mysterious wind blew out the candles. Now, on one hand, this segment was everything the fans have come to expect with Bliss and the Fiend, but at what point do things cross the line from suspenseful to downright silly? Well, that's a question WWE needs to ask every week when it crafts its latest Bliss and Fiend segment, or risk turning the fans off. But that was the good. What about the bad? Is number 1, where was Retribution and where was Mustafa? Putting Kofi Kingston into the Elimination Chamber is a good move, but they're missing out on a big storyline opportunity by not involving Mustafa Ali. After all, Ali is still fuming over Kofi getting his spot at 2019's Chamber pay-per-view, though it's worth repeating that this was in no way Kofi's fault since Ali was injured, and Kingston's performance there ignited Kofi Mania. Ali is still bitter that Kingston got the spot over him, so why didn't the WWE have him complain about Kofi getting it again? The Retribution vs New Day storyline actually has potential, and one way to keep it going would be for Ali to ambush Kofi before the Chamber match, taking his place in the match. Number 2, no love for Braun Strowman? Now, the WWE missed out on amping up the quality of this Sunday's Elimination Chamber match by not inserting Braun Strowman into the match. As picks like Sheamus and Jeff Hardy are fillers, let's be honest, Hardy shouldn't be a number 1 contender, should he? But Strowman could have added some brute power to the bout. Adam Pearce's lame rationale that Strowman doesn't belong because he's not a previous champion is weak, and unless Strowman is unable to compete due to his recent infection, there's no reason to keep him out. Number 3, Rhea Ripley needs to be in Lana's spot. Why is Lana still wrestling Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax when Ripley is sitting on the sidelines? While the case can be made that Lana's in-ring work has improved, her current program with Baszler and Jax is meaningless and stale. Ripley could be a valuable addition to Raw or SmackDown Women's Division, but keeping her off television is nothing less than ludicrous. We would normally suggest Rhea join Lana in a bid for the women's tag titles, but there is zero reason to associate Ripley with the lovable loser Lana. But that was the good. What about the downright ugliest? Ugh, really? Now, we can't help but look at the Lacey Evans-Ric Flair pregnancy storyline and ask, has Vince Russo returned? That's the only way to explain the latest over-the-top turn in Lacey Evans-Ric Flair's summer-winter romance. This storyline echoes back to the Mark Henry and Mae Young storyline where sexual chocolate supposedly knocked up Mae only for her to give birth to a hand. Let's hope that's not the case here. But what do you guys think of Raw? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Now, our first story looks at Cody Rhodes talks an AEW and WWE partnership. All Elite Wrestling has entered into some big talent exchanges of late, including stars from New Japan Pro Wrestling and Impact Wrestling. And naturally, wrestling fans can't help but ask whether AEW might team up with the WWE someday. Rhodes spoke to the New York Post recently, sharing his thoughts on a potential partnership. There's no reason that there could be a potential WWE crossover one day. Our doors are open if the business is right, if the moment is right, the time is right. Our bridges are down, pointing out that Eddie Graham and Vince McMahon Sr., Vince's dad, used to trade talent all the time to keep their products in Florida and New York fresh for fans. Cody stressed there have been no talks of such a partnership, but hope springs eternal. Triple H recently commented on the possibility of the WWE working with other promotions, and while the game's talks seem like lip service, much as Cody's does, never say never when it comes to the pro wrestling promoters seeing a chance to make money. Next up, Chris Jericho's wife was at the Capitol Riots. Or was Chris Jericho's wife Jessica at the Capitol Riots on the 6th January 2021? Well, that's a question some members of the internet wrestling community are asking after some pictures surfaced suggesting that Le Champion's wife was at one of the rallies that day in support of the then President Donald Trump. Ringside News' Felix Upton noted, "This all started when Jericho's wife updated her Instagram page's profile photo. The new photo showed her standing with other women in Washington, D.C. holding a pink Women for Trump sign. While some felt obliged to call out Mrs. Jericho, there is zero evidence of her entering the Capitol, as anyone who has followed the story knows the majority of the participants in the various rallies did not enter the Capitol building. Chris Jericho's financial support for Donald Trump is well known, so it's no shocker his wife was at the rally. It's just something that we had to clarify in this news video, given some of the crazy tweets going around." Next up, an Elimination Chamber match cancelled. Now, the big reveal that Lacey Evans is pregnant means that fans won't be seeing Evans challenge Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship as originally planned. And yes, Lacey Evans is actually pregnant in real life. This isn't just a storyline. So far, the WWE hasn't announced that the match is cancelled, and has still listed it at WWE.com, but obviously that match can't go ahead and they may replace it with something else. What would you rather see instead? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, a wrestler was legit hurt last night. The Hurt Business may be dealing with a hurt member as MVP looks to have hurt his knee during the Hurt Business's 6-man tag against the Lucha House Party and Riddle. According to Dave Meltzer, "Did you see MVP blow out his knee? I don't know how serious it was. I don't think it was from this. He either took a bump off the apron and landed on his feet, then he gets into the ring. It seems like he was walking in the ring and his knee just went out. He didn't play into the match, he was limping. They were helping him to the back when the camera was off, but when the camera was on, he was trying to walk on his own and gut it out and not sell it. Hopefully MVP isn't seriously injured and he'll be back to guide the Hurt Business." And finally, Rikishi Training Bow Wow. Last but not least, we've heard rumors of rapper Bow Wow training for a spot in the WWE, and now it appears he wants Hall of Famer Rikishi to train him, sending out this tweet. Bow Wow also hinted at some future opponents including Retribution, Damian Priest, and even Bad Bunny. What do you guys think of Bow Wow appearing in WWE? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.